Let's Talk Oculus, a VR podcast, is proudly sponsored by the good folks at Patreon. If you want to support the show, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. What's up, Oculus nerds? Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus, episode 177. I'm your host as always. I'm Dan. I'm joined by my co-host as always. It is Samson. Samson, how you been? How's the week been?
I've been pretty good, Dan.
Yeah, you've been pretty good. Yeah.
How have you been?
This is what happens when we record before dinner time. We lose it.
No, but I have been pretty good. Gotten a good amount of Walkabout this week. And Dan, springtime is here. Bye-bye seasonal depression. I got into VR outdoors.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I mean, also here in Toronto, it's we've had a few positive Celsius, shall we say. I don't even know. It'll be like 45, almost 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's paradise. I've been sat outside with a t-shirt, which is crazy.
Dan, today it was 18.3 Celsius.
Whoa, that's mental.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It's summer. That's basically summer.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
To all the normies out there, that's 65 degrees.
The normies. I feel like you're the only country that does it.
There's a couple others, I think, that,
Fahrenheit.
through imperialism or whatever yeah,
fair enough. How's the VR week been?
VR doing pretty good. VR been doing pretty good.
Yeah.
How's your VR week been?
Not much. I've been playing some Walkabout, as we'll get to later on, but also Split Fiction came out, which is It Takes Two, the same company that did, or same gaming company that did that.
Rave reviews.
It's fantastic. It's great. At the moment, we've played quite a bit. Like we've played quite a bit over the weekend and played quite a bit yesterday as well on the weekday, but it's a longer game than It Takes Two. I think it's meant to take you 14 hours, where It Takes Two took you 10 hours, but for Samson it took you like 25 hours.
For normal people, it's not a 10-hour game.
It is a 10.
Google it.
Google it. I honestly Google it. But it's great. It just like expands on It Takes Two, and at the moment I prefer the It Takes Two characters at the moment. But in terms of gameplay, you can see how much is like built upon and expanded. So
It Takes Two main story 12.5 hours according to How Long to Beat. Main plus sides 14. Completion at 16.5. All styles 14.
Fair enough. I just me and my partner,
right, Mr. Speedrunner.
Right. We're the speedrunners. We're the speedrunners. But yeah, not much VR, but we've got lots to talk about because we're recording this on the same day as the VR gaming showcase, the March edition, shall we say, since there are now going to be another one later on this year, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, this was earlier today, so it's the perfect time to record this podcast so we can give you our reactions. Yeah, it's fresh. And also because there's not actual much VR news in general. It's all based on today, which is really cool. But before we get into that, a little bit of housekeeping, Sam. So a little bit of housekeeping. The Discord community. I always shout out the Discord community. If you're not in there, go join us. There's a link below. But I just want to give a shout out to the Discord community in general because we had a new member join recently. His name was, I think his or her or they, shall we say. Let me hear your 808. I can see the play on the drum machine right there. But basically, they just said they just bought a Quest 3 and they were asking for recommendations. And I just want to give a shout out to our community because we pounced and lots of people came together and offered lots of recommendations. And I think they were particularly interested in music as well with VR. And yeah, like I had no idea where to go with that, but some other people had tried like Paradiddle and Virtuoso, I think, and such, and have jumped on that. So shout out to the community.
Void and Live Open Mic, I think, got those suggestions in there.
So shout out to the community. It's a great community. So, I don't know if you've not joined already, why have you not joined? Come into there and get your questions answered and just join an awesome community in general. Also amongst the community is the Walkabout tournaments.
Great segue, Dan.
Yeah. Samson, what happened what happened this week in our Walkabout tournament?
Well, Dan, every week Healing Entree is now hosting the Walkabout tournament. And last week there was Olympus Easy and Elvis Hard. And the Olympus Easy score mode, the top three were... Oh,
You
gosh.
struggling there?
Yeah, I had to make it bigger. I couldn't see the scores there. I made them too tiny, Dan, because it's you. It's you, Dan. You came in third place at minus 15. It was so unbelievable. I had to get the magnifying glass out to really double check it. Sorry, all the listeners who had to listen to my stutters there. Anyway, Dan at minus 14. You know what, Dan?
15. Minus 15. Minus 15.
Well, hold on, because this one week I'm going to go ahead and shout out fourth place. Maestro and yours truly, fourth place with minus 14. You have
to get yourself in there, right?
No. Maestro. That's why, Dan. Maestro,
right.
Come on. I would never be, that self.
Yeah. Of course. Anyway, keep praising my bronze victory.
Yeah, so you got bronze, yes, at minus 15. Then there was a tie for silver at minus 17 between Healing Entree and Parody for Life. And then this week we have someone new atop the leaderboards at minus 18, Baru Monkey, who also joined us for a podcast. So check that interview out next week, probably.
Yeah. This one of those things that is my first time that I've actually joined the competition this season, at least. I've been there before, but it's been a while. And I noticed it's best for me just to play it once and not try again because I get frustrated.
Did you actually submit your score? Because I was going to submit our pre-week score. Okay.
Yeah, I submitted it. I just went the other day, yesterday, when Healing Entree put in the Discord, he says 8 hours left, and I had some time to kill. And I was like, you know what? Let's just jump into it. And I just played both courses once, hence why when you see the next course, it was not a great score, but we'll get into that in a second. And because I think my score is pretty good for Mount Olympus, just because I've played it so many times over the last week and so I've had a lot of practice with it, right? So even though I just jumped into it just once for the score, I've had a lot of practice with that course at this point. So, but yeah, I didn't do the race modes though.
Very nice, very nice. So race mode, Dan, thank you. Good segue again. On Mount Olympus, third place, bronze, went to Healing Entree at 5 minutes and 34 seconds. Then, in silver, second place, Baru Monkey with 5 minutes and 28 seconds. And then, in first place, unbelievably, underneath 5 minutes. All right, we're going to have to get pronunciations on here, so I'm going to just go ahead and say Danu.
Danu Cool Legut. There you go.
Yeah, you nailed it, I'd say. 4 minutes and 50 seconds and 92 milliseconds.
Crazy. Silly. That's what it is. Crazy.
And fourth place was fourth place was actually close. I was fifth place, I guess. I was almost a minute behind.
You threw yourself back in there again. Yeah. I see what you're doing.
I don't know how that happens. It's crazy.
Yeah. Maybe someone else should read these out.
It's weird. It's weird. Anyway, Elvis Hard, Dan. I cut myself out of these ones. Damn.
Fair enough.
All right, Elvis Hard, score mode, top 3, Healing Entree, minus 8, Parody for Life, minus 14, and Baru Monkey with minus 15. That's a tight top 2.
Those scores are insane. I think mine was plus 8, plus 12, plus 13, plus 14, something out. It was out there because this is a course I have not played this since it came out, and I couldn't even remember them. For the hard mode, especially the easy mode, I think I played quite a bit when it came out. The hard mode, I must have played once or twice, to be honest.
It's got some tough holes. The door hole,
the door where they open and such,
where they open and close. That one stumps me a bunch.
That one didn't kill me. It was, the two that really hurt me was the one where the platform moves and you got this giant Elvis on top. Mm-hmm. The hole is massive, but I stroked out. I couldn't even get it in. So that was one. And also the other one that killed me was the stage where you're on the stage at the theater, and in the easy one, it's Plimco. Is it Plimco? Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah. Where you hit it at the top and it just drops on. Where in the hard, it's just the hole's just in the back there in the gallery. So And that one stumped me as well.
I think I got that one. I like that one. I enjoy that one a lot.
They're the two that really just destroyed my score. I started off well, but as soon as I hit those two holes, forget about it.
The Elvis, see that it is a. I don't particularly like the piano 18, but I do kind of like listening to it. I don't like playing it very much.
That's an easy hole in one, though.
Easy. I struggle hitting it. I struggle hitting it. I can usually get it in 2.
That's fair. That's fair.
And then I do really like the gambling ones. The
dice.
The dice. The slots.
The slot machine. Yeah.
And the roulette. I like those all in easy and hard.
I got a hole in one in the roulette one.
Go.
Yeah. I got a hole in one in that one, which is cool.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good on that one. Anyway, let me get to race mode, where the top 3 were the exact same. And get this, Dan, there in the exact same order. So I'm just going to go give the times. Healing Entree, 6:43. Parody for Life, 5:29. And Baru Monkey, 5:19.
That's crazy. Really tough. Yeah, that's crazy. Because you can't tap out in any holes. You just gotta, go for it. So that's the walkout.
Dan, let me get next week's courses.
Oh, of course.
Alfheim Easy, Season 8, Week 4, Alfheim Easy, and Mount Olympus Hard. Get those scores into Healing Entree in the Let's Talk Oculus Discord by March 17th at midnight Eastern Time.
Nice. Yeah, join the Discord if you want to be a part of that. And we also played Walkabout on the Thursdays as well. So we played last week for Mount Olympus, obviously, and normally we'll just do a random course, to be honest. But it's always a good time. So definitely join in on that. Patreon. We're still on housekeeping, which is crazy. The Patreon, if you want to support us on that, $1 or more, $5 or more will get you early access to the episodes a day early. But you can join us on patreon.com/letstalkoculus. And finally, comments. I love this little section of the podcast that we've added in. We've got comments from Spotify, YouTube to discuss, but sometimes we have stuff in Discord and such. I was going to put the question that let me hear your 808 put in, but since everyone just jumped in and answered it really well on the Discord, I was like, there's no need to also put this in the pod, but we appreciate your question in the Discord. Let's talk about the comments. Samson, do you want to start off with Matt?
I'd love to. Matt from Spotify on the Let's Talk Oculus episode 175, What We Love About VR, says, great show, guys. My start with VR was a lot like Samson. A friend showed me Beat Saber on PC in 2019. Got the first Oculus in fall of that year. Exact same, Dan. Followed by the Quest 2. These two headsets were great during the pandemic. I've upgraded to Quest 3. VR feels like the new frontier for gaming, especially growing up as a gamer in the 90s. I love the immersion with VR games. Social VR brings a new way to connect with friends and new players. I'm looking forward to seeing the future of VR technology.
Yeah, roger that. Thanks so much for your comment, Matt.
It does. So a lot of the VR games, especially in 2019, 2020, did really remind me of PS1. Just so many weird indie games.
Yeah, I feel I feel like that's still kind of the same right now. I think the social VR aspect of VR, which is the most impressive, I would say. Like, I'm not a massive, big social, like, multiplayer kind of player, but in terms of just when you do meet people in VR, like, just with Walkabout or such, because it feels so much different to then just FaceTiming someone or speaking to someone, obviously, on a forum or whatever. Yeah, it really feels like you're just in the room with them. Makes a massive difference. But yeah, thanks so much for your message, Matt. We also have one on Spotify for LTO 176, which was our last episode, which is why Walkabout is VR at its finest. This is from Liam, and he says, Mount Olympus is finally a more classic course, and I like it. It is very balanced and it makes it fun. No frustrating holes that make me want to punch a hole through my wall. We also got a lightning bolt putter, and I'm butchering this. And as last time, this might be my favorite putter. I am excited to see what the rest of 2025 will bring us. Thank you so much, Liam, and apologies for butchering it right at the end. I think you hit the nail on the head right there. We said this last week. I think it is an incredibly like balanced course. It is incredibly like every single hole is just a really good hole. Like there's no like bad hole in this. There's better holes, but there's no bad hole in this. Which is great. Which is it speaks how well this course is. It's their
Very
biggest
grand.
course, and it's a great start to the year. For sure. Especially, I guess, like Liam may, if he really likes the more classic courses, then maybe Elvis at the start of the year was definitely not his jam or cup of tea, because that was really obviously on the gimmicky side of things. So it is good to add some classic ones in there. After you, Samson.
Eric on YouTube on Let's Talk Calculus episode 175 says, "Hey guys, I just started listening to you recently. Love the show. I wanted to mention a game I played and loved but flew under the radar, Rogue Stargun. Excellent space sim flying game with 24 episode main campaign, single developer game. Graphics are much like the Last Starfighter movie from 1984. Full VR cockpit controls, though, including a fire extinguisher to put out cabin fires. Really excellent game, and it kind of got lost when it was released. If you haven't tried it, I'd highly recommend it."
Yeah, have you tried this before?
I have not.
I actually, when he commented, I did have a look. I was going to buy it because it's only $9.99 USD, but I haven't been in VR this week, unfortunately. But it does look really good. It looks quite polished. Gives me those kind of No Man's Sky vibes when you're just flying, shall we say? But yeah, it looks solid, and it's got really good reviews overall. So yeah, it's one to try for sure. Apparently, according to the reviews, an absolute steal at $9.99. So yeah, thanks for that comment, Eric. I will definitely try it. It is on my list to try. I just didn't get around to it this time, but yes, we will definitely talk about that in a future episode.
Dan, this comment makes me feel like could be a strategy for developers out there to get on our comments.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I appreciate it, Eric. I'm glad you have found us and you are loving the show. A final comment is from Destiny on YouTube, who is also in the Discord. He says for LTO 175, which is why we love VR, he says, idea for the putters in Walkabout mini golf, I'm assuming. They should put each matching course putter in front of the ball bins, kind of standing up lengthwise. Yeah, I could see the idea of that. The only thing with that is it'll be still much smaller, right, than what the actual putters are on the side. But I agree to have like, actually, no, I don't know. Like, I think it makes logical sense if they had some more labeling when it comes to the putters, because they're now just all on the right side. But at the same time, they're so unique that it's quite easy to distinguish what course it's from, bar a few maybe. So yeah. I feel like they would have played with this for sure.
Dan, I'm just going to go ahead and mention here, because last week I asked for a magnifying glass, which apparently exists already in the settings of Walkabout. So you can already pick up a magnifying glass and look at your balls real nice and close.
Nice. I want
to inspect them for.
I realized that you needed that. Yeah. Very good.
Will you be inspecting any balls?
I don't think I need the magnifying glass, to be honest with you. I think, it's quite clear to me. It's quite clear. Right, moving on. VR news. We've just got a couple things to talk about before we end on this part. And part two, we'll get into the VR gaming showcase. Story one, Samson. Really fun one. You brought this to my attention. Golf Plus has been testing out using your real putter in the game. And the way they've done it is they are reading what they put on their Twitter or X or whatever. They've tried using a controller attached to your putter, and the problem is the controller, even though it doesn't weigh too much, it's still weighty.
Throws it off.
So it throws it off big time, compared to your actual putter. So the idea is how to use your putter with your exact weight and such, so you can actually practice your putts in VR like accurately, right? So what they've done is they've got the MX Ink stylus that came out last September, I think, from Logitech, where you'd use that obviously to create like 3D art and so on and so forth in VR. But what they've done is they've basically kind of glued it or taped it onto the top, and have used that as their like tracking basically for the putter. And
because it's basically a controller.
yeah, in the end of the day, right? Which is really cool. And I see whoever's doing it in the video takes a putt and such. And obviously, this is just maybe just playing around and seeing if it works. But yeah, it has the like you said, it's a controller. That pencil is 6 degrees of freedom tracking, just like the controllers, right? So pretty impressive. Pretty
It's
cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you have a putter at home? Do you have a set of golf clubs?
No.
No, fair enough.
But I only golf in virtual.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But it does sound pretty cool.
It does. It obviously looks a little bit silly when you're in there because you know you got the big glass pencil putting it out and such. But the concept is fantastic, and it like one of those things. What do you call what does the Pico have? They have those little trackers that you can buy and such, right?
Like the body tracker things.
Yeah, that are for VR chat. It kind of shows you another example of what you can use those trackers for. Like, obviously, people are saying with those trackers or the Sony ones that came out just in Japan, or at least at the start, they're obviously meant for VR chat, right? So you can get full body tracking, but you know, if you could take like one of those, or if you know, or take a couple of those or so, and just have it on objects, maybe you could play a tennis game with a proper tennis racket and such. You know, if you want to.
Do you have a golf club?
Oh yes, yeah. You know, moving to Toronto, it's very hard to play golf because you really need a car to get out to the courses. So they are just in my storage. But yeah, I played a lot of golf growing up.
You got an Uber to your golf.
It's like an hour away.
That's the closest golf courses.
Yeah, it's like an hour away. I'm in the middle of the city, right? You really got to get out of town. So it's just one of those big city problems, you know.
It would be kind of weird for me to buy a real golf putter to only play virtual golf.
Right.
But it does sound pretty cool.
It's cool for like if you were playing actual golf because, like I said, you can then practice in your home, right? And you can practice your putts, and rather than having like a little bit like a putting mat that some people buy for their homes just to practice their little putts on, you could do whatever you want in virtual reality, and it's actually amazing. I'm glad they're testing. They're very passionate about golf. The people behind Golf Plus. You know, they're like avid golfers, so I can see them actually trying to push this. But once again, because of this, like, you can now see that you could use these trackers for more than just your body. You could use it on actual items. I can see a world where Meta puts out their own trackers that you can buy, like Pico have done. But I can see the world. No. I can see them doing it. Like you imagine that will boost their horizon. Like if you think about it that way as well, like they would love to do that.
No,
it's just completely dismissing it. Absolutely not. I would
disagree.
Like it though.
Listen,
I'd like to be.
You can have your opinion. I'll eat my words.
Yeah, please eat them.
Well,
please eat them.
One of us will. It's going to be a nice, delicious alphabet soup.
Look. I like this idea. The second news story is probably more up your alley, though. So Cards and Tankards, which is a game that you like. It's a free-to-play game, and it has an expansion coming up next month. So it's called Ashes of Your Enku. The expansion will...
My Enku?
Yeah, maybe yours. The expansion will introduce 50 new cards, diamond animated variants, a wide range of new cosmetics, a refreshed season pass, balancing changes, and rank resets. Samson, do you want to read the little blurb that they put out?
I'd love to, Dan. Set in the untamed lands of Urenku, this expansion follows a plundering guild as they embark on a daring fire-hunting expedition, a forbidden technique that uncovers ancient dwarven archives hidden beneath decades of overgrown brush. These archives chronicle experiments with ether, a powerful primordial force. Tragically, only one explorer will emerge alive.
You're getting better and better at these readouts. Better and better.
Oh, thanks.
Is this one up your alley? I know you like the game, but do you
I
think
mean,
this...
I haven't played much of the game. I did enjoy the little bit I played, which was the tutorial mostly. I don't think I ever played an actual match
Oh,
against a real person.
Fair enough. I thought you
But
played a bit more.
it does work also on the Steam Deck and Steam Flat. So, that is an option out there. I love the idea of it much more than I, put time into playing a card deck builder.
Yeah.
With even it's free to play. Nobody's ever been like, hey, you want to play some Cards and Tankards? I do bring it up here and there, but
you do bring it up. That's why I might have thought that this one is up your alley.
Like to support it, gotta support the team.
Gotta support the team. Very good. All right, you know what that will do for part one, because we have a bit of a big part two to cover all of these games in the VR gaming showcase. So, without further ado, we will see you there.
Hey. We know public lobbies in VR games can be a bit toxic, feel a bit empty at times. That's why we created the Let's Talk Oculus Discord, a friendly community that you can join for multiplayer meetups, general VR chat, the game, and chat about VR, fitness motivation, and there's even a very impressive 3D printing channel. Join over 100 of our community members in the Let's Talk Oculus Discord for free. The link is right in the description.
All right, welcome back to part two, where we'll be covering the VR Gaming Showcase. So, Samson, this is VR Gaming Showcase. This is the second one. They had one last year, which unintentionally rather, it replaced the Meta Gaming Showcase, which we've had the last 3 years before that, where we had all the new games that are going to come out this year and maybe then some for the Meta Quest. And we live streamed it, we had a good time, and then last year no announcement that it's not going to happen, nothing. Meta just kept quiet and we were just in the dark. But thankfully the VR Gaming Showcase was there. And I remember last year, I don't remember exactly what games came out last year, to be honest, but I remember Trombone Champ was one of them from Flat 2 VR, and my gosh, what a great game.
They were all there. All the
Flat, a lot of Flat 2 VR ones were in there. Same as with this one, as we'll cover. Before we get into each game in this list, though, what were your impressions of this year's showcase, or the March edition, shall we say?
You want my general impressions, because we're about to get into all of them, I think.
Just your general.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of games for a diverse group of gamers, right? So I'm not interested in all of these, but a lot of them really piqued me. Like the Breachers update, that's a game I play weekly. That'll affect my VR gaming.
Yeah, exactly right.
And there are other games that I was less interested in, but I imagine even those ones that I was less interested in, probably, there's probably interest from somebody else out there.
Yeah,
what were your impressions?
Well, I agree with you. It was a good balance. It started off very gun heavy, shall we say, which a lot of VR games are, which makes sense as well. Like it's very fun. Everyone loves a laser quest and such. Well, not everyone, but most people. But when it did get a bit more gun friendly, Jamie, who was obviously hosting, he actually mentioned, I'm paraphrasing here, that he's going to now show games that are different than what we've seen. He said from the last year's feedback he got was very similar in terms of genre, so now they're going to switch it up. And then he went into cozy games and such. So a good mix overall. It seemed like a good solid mix. And then obviously they have, this is the early one. They'll have a fall one where there'll probably be maybe even bigger titles, just because people like to save stuff for the fall release anyway.
And Dan, we got the Rough Talk VR showcase next month as well.
Yeah, that is true. So we have some more stuff coming, which is great. And then who knows? Maybe Meta does do a showcase. Who knows? I don't think so.
No. But could you imagine if they did a Meta Horizon Worlds showcase? That'd be historically bad.
You're going to live stream it? No.
No, I'm not going to take off work for that one.
No. All right, let's get into it. So the first one, really exciting actually, is the game that actually you were excited of as well. Triangle Factory, who obviously come out with Breaches and Hyper Dash, which are two games that you really love, Samson, finally announced their newest title, and it's called Forefront. And it will be out this fall in 2025. It will be on Quest 2 and above, which was an interesting shout out on there. 32 player maps, drivable vehicles, multiplayer shooter. This is kind of taken what Breaches is, which is more like a Rainbow Six Siege kind of game, and gone, okay, now let's do a Battlefield type kind of game. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, Dan, there was one year I was into Battlefield.
Which one? Can you remember which one?
It was a Modern War one. I think it was Battlefield 1. I don't remember.
That would be World War 1. Exactly. Battlefield 1 was. So it might have been Battlefield 4.
All right. What year was that?
That was... I don't know.
It was probably early aughts, right? So it was between 2003 and 2006.
Oh, you're talking all the way back then. Okay, you are probably thinking like the original Battlefield. They came out with Battlefield 1 again, which was more just the name was because of World War 1.
It's been like 20 years since I played Battlefield.
Okay, fair enough.
But I got nostalgia, and I love Triangle Factory. I loved Hyper Dash, loved Breachers, great shooting mechanics, great gun mechanics. The movement in each game is very different, but both freaking awesome. So I feel like they haven't done vehicles yet, so that'll be new for them.
Yeah,
interested in the vehicles. I'm always bad at flying and driving.
I'm bad in 2D rather than let alone VR. But it looks like they have tanks, they have choppers, they have normal cars, they have like boats or dinghies as well. So let me just say, Samson, when we're playing this, if you're in a chopper with me, just jump out. Just don't bother.
Yeah,
just
same.
But yeah, big maps. I have no idea what the size is, but judging from the trailer, they are quite big. I actually was worried when I saw the trailer. I was like, oh no, is this just a battle royale? Is that what they're doing? But it seems like it's not, and it's just a big multiplayer shooter.
Yeah, it says 32 player maps here, so what's that, 16 on 16?
16 on 16, which is quite big. I would have not expected that. That's why it's more Battlefield-esque. Battlefield's now gone silly, but those kind of maps.
I mean, I imagine you could do it smaller.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
I'd like a 12 on 12.
Yeah, okay, that's the sweet spot. Just four less players on each one is the sweet spot.
It's 8 total fewer. That's a good amount, Dan.
That's
almost an entire basketball court.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Samson, I was massive into Battlefield 4. Absolutely loved that. That was on the PS4. I played that game to death. Really, really liked it. Never played a Battlefield game before. That one, and for some reason I picked it up. It must have been cheap or something like that. And when I got Battlefield 4, that was the time where I kind of stopped playing Call of Duty because it got a bit too repetitive for me, and the kids were just too good, and the game actually went a bit crazy, where Battlefield just kept it grounded and had excellent destructional physics in there, where you could, the buildings will fall down, which was always cool, but they had different classes of people as well. So I'm hoping this is the same here, with the different soldiers have different classes. And I imagine they do, because obviously Breaches had something similar to that as well.
Yeah. It was Battlefield 2 that I played, Dan.
2, nice.
2005.
Yeah, that was a big one as well, to be honest with you. They had a few spin-offs as well, but obviously this is not Battlefield, but it just reminds me of that. And when I'm not a multiplayer person, but I got really excited about this trailer, I'm not going to lie. And obviously I played a bit of Breaches when it first came out, but obviously you're the Breaches head in this podcast for sure. But this one, I feel like if it plays how I think it's going to play, I think I'm going to be right into this.
All right, here's the thing, Dan. You have a game that needs, in theory, big multiplayer, big lobbies, right?
Yeah.
What's your price point? Because this looks like a great game, right? This could be priced in the 40 range, right? But you want people, their other game, $30. right?
I think this will be $30. The games
Yeah,
are
that's
now
sort of what I was thinking too.
games are more expensive now. You can start to see like there's the game that we'll talk about later on that just got released today, and that's at like almost $35, which would probably be what 25 normally before, but now things are getting more expensive. So yeah,
My guess
I'd
is
say
30 to 40.
30 to 40 for sure. If they can deliver, and look, they've got such a trust now after how well Breaches did, that a lot of that community would happily jump. It's not like they're jumping over. It's just a different type of game, right? Like I said, you've gone from Rainbow Six Siege with Breaches all the way to Battlefield now, and a lot of people will have both of those games and play both, whatever they're in the mood for. So, yeah. By the way, there will be. I'm looking back on the trailer as we're talking here, and I can guarantee you there'll be 4 classes. Because in the trailer,
that was in their preview,
there's 4 basically soldiers that come out, and if you look at it closely, you can see one's a medic. You can see that the other they all have different like kind of weapons on them and such. So I don't know what the other classes will be, but there's definitely going to be up to 4 classes. Which
the other classes were combat engineer specialists, assault operations officers, field medic operatives, precision recon marksman.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense because one of them's holding one of them's holding a sniper, which is obviously that. The other one where you're talking about the engineer, they probably got the rocket launcher because they're the ones who are trying to take down all the different vehicles and such. So yeah, and then obviously assault rifle for the standard one, shall we say? But yeah, I know we talked about this for a lot, but like this, I think this is one of the standout games in the whole showcase. To be honest,
that's exactly what I was going to say, Dan. I think this is the one I'm most excited for, and it's totally because Triangle Factory just take my money. Whatever, they've earned it. Hyperdash Breachers, home runs. So going for 3 out of 3 here. And then next up, Grand Slam. But Dan, I got to say, expectations do rise each time.
Yeah, they do.
But each time they've I feel like met and or surpassed these expectations.
Yeah,
certainly by the end. Breachers definitely needed the more maps at the beginning, but it's gotten there.
This will probably be the same, where it might just have like the odd map or 2 or so, or it might be one of those. It's not a huge team, right? So I think the main thing for them first is to try and get the physics right and gameplay right and get that feeling really good. And I think they can probably borrow what Breaches has, to be honest, because Breaches feels great. And if you just take that and kind of adjust it with different classes and such, it's gonna be great. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's interesting that it's going to be out for Quest 2 as well. I know obviously there is still a big player. No, there's still a big player place on Quest 2, but I would thought in 2025, especially this is going to come out for 2025, that you probably cut off the Quest 2 at that point. But they're seeming to make that work. I would not be surprised though if they announced like the Quest 2 version's either delayed or something like that at some point. I wouldn't be surprised, but maybe they wanted to make sure it works on Quest 2 as well because of the player base, and they want as many people in as possible, especially when they're going for 32 player maps, right? If they isolate that to Quest 3, then that might be an issue. I don't know if they said anything about this coming to other headsets. I think they just said Quest 2 and above, but I could be incorrect. But yeah, I feel like Samson, we're going to talk about this game a few more times later on this year when we get close and we get some more details. But I'm excited for this one. Game we'll just gloss over. The next game was Hitman World of Assassination or something like that. That's coming out for PSVR 2, but not Quest, so we will skip past that.
I'll pick it up eventually on a sale. I don't own it yet.
Yeah, fair enough. Then we had a game called Reeve. I think it was called Reeve, basically. Reeve was it's a PvP PvE multiplayer game. It's in pre-alpha at the moment, so it's going to be a while before we kind of get this game. It seems like a RuneScape kind of vibes, to be honest.
Like Dungeons of Eternity.
Yeah, potentially. But just more like fully social VR, basically, is what this game's going to be like. But yeah, similar kind of vibe. It's in pre-alpha right now. If you're interested in that, I think if you can go on their Discord, on the Quest and the PC VR. They're doing pre-alpha and like early development stuff in the next month or so. So if you want to get in on that, that's Vive. That's Vive. The next game is called Ghost Town, which is from Fireproof Games. Now, Fireproof Games did The Room VR, which is what a lot of people really like that game. I never played it. I only played it on like the iOS on the phone, but I never played the VR version.
I never got in there either.
Like a proper puzzle game, like a hardcore kind of puzzle game in a way, the Room VR. This looks like it's kind of more, in a way, like what Room VR was, but then expanded into like a full-on proper story. And it gives me like Seventh Guest vibes, you know? Like it seems like it's cut from the same cloth in terms of that. So yeah, puzzle horror game that will be out on every headset at some point this year. Did you any thoughts on this one?
Well, horror. I like the idea of horror much more than I like getting it myself.
Just like Cards and Tankards.
Yeah, so I'm inclined to watch someone probably, or just learn about it and watching somebody play it.
Yeah,
as opposed to playing this one myself. But it does look like the footage I've seen of The Room just expanded, just grown. And much like I feel like with the Triangle Factory, how each game has grown on itself, it's sort of getting that vibe here. It looks bigger.
Yeah, like I said, it gives me very Seventh Guest vibes as well in terms of how it is. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in this one. It's not a game that I'm like jumping at like forefront, which has really appealed to me, but this is definitely in my wheelhouse as well, for sure. And even has like holograms and such, which are similar to Seventh Guest. So I'm excited to see an original story. I just hope Seventh Guest was really good for me because it was scary, but it wasn't scary.
More vibe, right?
Yeah, if you know what I mean. Where I hope this game is kind of similar to that. You know, there's different types of horrors, right? There's the jump scares horrors and all that stuff. But you got also some psychological horror, and I think this one might be psychological base. It might not be too horror-y, but I don't know. It is called Ghost Town in the end of the day. That's what it's called. So I'm not too sure. Samson, what's the next game? I'll let you take the
Memoriam. It's a sci-fi survival horror. Seems like you're in a spaceship. Kind of like Alien, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
But more like... is it the same graphics? I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell.
What do you mean as Alien? Yeah, it's hard to tell, but it does feel like that because it looks like you're in a massive spaceship that is like the Alien spaceship as well.
Yeah.
Very similar, actually. Playing obviously Alien Isolation recently, and it looks kind of similar in terms of how that layout is.
It does look pretty good.
Yeah, it does look really good. It looks really polished, to be honest. A lot of variety of enemies
graphically too. And all that. Yeah, and the blood coming off of him, how he's taking them apart. The reloads. They kind of gave me some Vertigo gun vibes. But this will be out September 2025 and Quest at launch, PC later.
Yeah. I think I'm excited to see this one in the flesh.
It's Memoriam.
Memoriam. It gives me good vibes. It seems like there's not just one main enemy, but they all seem kind of infected with something. So it's it's not just like one alien chasing you or so. But another horror game, another survival horror game. But I do like me some survival horror. Once again, if it's not like a lot of cheap scares and such, then I'm okay. The cool thing
more
about
like actiony.
Yeah, exactly. The cool thing about this is that this trailer was totally captured on Quest 3. So you can, and that doesn't happen often. It's either pre-rendered or it's a PSVR 2 one now, or PC VR 1. So it's actually great to see exactly what it looks like, which is always nice for us especially. But yeah, I'm also very interested in that. Add this to my list with Ghost Town and Forefront. It's been a good showcase so far. Samson, what else we got?
We got Prison Boss Probation. Out later this year, but mixed reality announcement for Quest headsets as well. And you can join the alpha on March 18th via their Discord.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think this has already been shown before, but they've just added mixed reality. Have you played Prison Boss at all? I never played the first one.
I have not played any Prison Boss. I'm not very interested.
No. Okay. Very well.
It does look, if you're into this type of...
It looks like goofy fun.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me. But okay, very well. The next game is up your alley, though. Breaches 5-on-5 tactical shooter or tactical combat. Have I messed that up? May have messed that up.
I'd say you nailed it. They got a new gadget, Dan.
What is it?
It's a clone projector.
What does a clone projector do?
Which means you project a clone. So you have a little puck that puts up a fake version of yourself, and you frame how you want it to pose, and then boom, it stays there. And it's a decoy, Dan. It's a decoy.
I like it. Do you think that's something that you'd probably want to use?
I'm going to use it every time. There's going to be so many people on the base.
Yeah, I think it's a fun idea. I've seen it before in different types of games like this, but I think it's one of those things that you got to really balance it, because if you can see in the trailer it's glitchy and such, so you could probably tell if you stare at it for long enough, but maybe your first thing you're like the person's right there. So yeah, love it. That's out now, Samson. So when you play your Breaches this week, you can go ahead and try it.
I'll talk about it next week. Next game is called Zix. I actually didn't have a clue what this game is about when looking at the trailers. It's a fast-paced 3-player co-op, apparently. It's out for MetaQuest and PC VR. It looks like Space Ninjas is what I'm gathering from this, shall we say, and it's out on fall. Looks neat.
It looks really very psychedelic.
Yeah, definitely psychedelic.
Yeah. But I don't know too much. It's a very fast-paced game, and it's fast-paced in the trailer too. So I'm not sure what the objectives are, but hey, this might be your...
it looks like there's some bosses that you take on.
Yeah. And 3-player, there's not many 3-player co-op games, right? It's either 2 or 4.
Dungeons of Eternity was.
That's it. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Next thing, Vendetta Forever, the PC announcement is coming. Vendetta Forever, for those who don't know, is very much on the same vein as Superheart. It got really good reviews, to be honest, when it first came out. It just kind of got lost in the shuffle for me because it came out in like peak season and such. But it is one game that I do want to get into it. Hey, did you play it?
I played the demo. I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's tough. You got to play those levels over and over and over again. And ultimately, I'd rather just speedrun Walkabout.
That's fair enough. I think this is a game that I would really like to play, because I loved Action Hero a lot, which came out just after this, and it seems like it's a similar kind of concept, kind of John Wick, super hot style. In a way. So yeah, I definitely want to play this, but obviously it's coming out for PC. But the main thing for Quest users, as you're listening to this podcast, there'll be some new levels coming out for free on May 8th. It
does look nice, the lighting and all that.
Yeah, I guess it's the PC version that you're looking at. But next thing is Underdog's PSVR 2 announcement, which is coming March 25th, which is exciting for those PSVR 2 users. Then Samson, you have an actual proper horror game. It's called Slender. Are you aware of the Slender Man?
I'm aware of the Slender Man. I've only ever heard of the Slender Man. I don't really know much about this.
There's a whole conspiracy that it was real and all sorts. It was crazy. That was the time on the internet. But Slender this game is actually a flat game that you can play. I think it's been out for forever. But there's a VR port, which is really cool for people into that. I'm definitely not playing this game. It seems like full-on jump scare horror. It's not for me, but it will be out on every headset this spring as well. So that's not far away. Spring's only in 2 weeks, apparently.
Yeah, but spring goes until June.
Yeah, that's fair. Next game, we had another trailer for Gone. I'm not sure if this was different or it was the same trailer, but more bloody mess.
A lot of blood, Dan. A lot of blood.
Yeah, a lot of blood, a lot of creative styles of Gorn killing, shall we say?
It is goofy fun, also, Gorn.
It is. It is.
Goofy.
The whole game's goofy fun. That's what the game's all about. I think. It's
I
ragdoll
need
physics, right?
the thing is like I don't want to break another window shade, so I need mixed reality Gorn. I need these
Yeah.
enemies to be coming into my room,
Yeah.
and then let me throw them around.
I guarantee you'll still hit the wall, even in mixed reality. Guarantee it. But yeah, so that is gone. And then we have one more game of just like full-on action before we get into cozy games. That's called Exoshock, and it's published by Viral Games, who are friends of the show. This actually looked pretty good. I couldn't tell much. I couldn't tell much from the trailer, but it's cel-shaded. It's a co-op shooter. The graphics look really good. There's an early access version in the Discord that I think you can sign up for if you went into the Discord. What are your thoughts on this?
Man, it's giving me Halo vibes. I kind of like it. I mean, a co-op shooter with these. I mean, we got to wait and see, right? I don't want to get too hyped.
Yeah. It looks good though. I think this is just for Quest at the moment, but it looks very good in terms of the combat. It gives me
very stylized.
vibes,
I like the style. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cel shaded, but it I think it's cel shaded, but it's like got that rough grit about it, right? On the actual arena itself. Yeah. So yeah,
you know what it makes me want. You remember that 13 game?
Yeah,
it was like where they had if you get a headshot, it kind of comic booked the headshot. Mm-hmm. Now I kind of want that in VR, but this looks cool. This looks cool, and I like the inventory thing with the gun there.
Yeah, and Viral Games, a lot of their games that they have published are very. This is also on Steam VR, by the way. Are quite polished. Though, huh? No release window, but like I said, early access in the Discord. You can apply if you go onto their Discord. But yeah, I'm not sure if this is this year or they're aiming for later this year. If not, next year for sure. Should we talk about some cozy games?
Yeah, sure. I was trying to get the QR code.
Oh, sorry. So Stay Forever Home. It's going to be by Wind Up Minds, who released BOGO. Which is the free like pet kind of app that you could do on Quest, which you can't
RIP
download anymore. But yeah, they've got another virtual pet game, but this seems like a proper game, and it's really interesting, this one. So you've got a virtual pet called Ember, who is like a fox, shall we say?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Eevee's Evolutions.
Yeah, I agree. You've got like a very cozy art world, shall we say, and the whole idea of this game is that you do 10 minutes play sessions. So you're in your home, and it's in the home, it's going to be mixed reality. So you can obviously, Ember will be just chilling out on the bed, and maybe you'll have a bunch of different plants or whatever, or some mixed reality stuff. And you can probably do some tricks with her in the room, I'm assuming, something like that. But when you leave your room, it goes into virtual reality, and that's where you could do like 10-minute play sessions. So there'll be cozy activities to do. So you could do like fetch and all that. But then there's also some challenges. So there might be some like light puzzles or so in there. But they're all designed for 10 minutes. So you go out there for 10 minutes and then you bring back in. You don't have to pick up any poop. None of that stuff. It's in virtual reality. But yeah, this is coming out soon as well. It's coming on April 3rd. So right around the corner. Samson, you just got a pet. Do you want another pet?
Dan, I'm excited for this one to see if maybe it's okay with kids.
I think it will be.
Yeah, I'm like, this one in Forefront, I'm definitely buying day one. Hitman, that was a sale. Everything else is up in the air, I'd say, mostly. But this one looks cool.
Nice. Okay,
so super unique. Are you interested in it?
No. Not interested, but I can see for you why it would be interested. Maybe if I
also like the 10-minute. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. When he was saying that, I thought that was a good, unique idea. So yeah, no, I'm not into this one at all. No, not at all. But I can see the appeal. I can see the appeal for sure. I like the idea. It's very unique.
15 USD.
Yeah, I think that would be a fair price, if not less, to be honest. The next game, though, I'm kind of interested in. The next game is called Penguin Festival, and it's by Cozy Cube Games. And there's something there's something about this game. It's a cozy penguin game, is what I wrote down as well as watching this. But essentially, you're just on this little ice island, shall we say, and you could do stuff like snowball fights. There's fishing. You can take selfies with other penguins. So it looks like there'll be multiplayer as well. It looks incredibly polished, walkabout style in a way, and it's coming out on Quest
stylized.
and PC VR. I'm interested in this game because it looks so silly and
You can
cozy.
fish.
Yeah, you can fish. Yeah,
Is this multiplayer?
I think so, because there's a time where you take like a selfie with another penguin holding a fish. So I'm assuming it's going to be multiplayer, but
Okay.
I've not seen anything about that.
That's pretty cool. I do like myself some silly multiplayer experiences like that.
Exactly, some silly, cozy games. Samson, what's the next one?
Next one is the Titan Isles by Cytec
Yep, that's
Games, who have done Windlands and Windlands 2. It's a Titanic co-op adventure with fast movement and traversal similar to Windlands, where you can grapple, swing, all that jazz. Probably a jump button as well. Same art style as Windlands, and this is coming to Quest and Steam. And yes, I am also interested in this one.
Yeah, what makes you interested is just the art style kind of gets me in, but that's the same as Windlands, and I never picked that one up, so I guess.
So I have Windlands,
full of crap.
haven't spent much time in there, and it's the co-opness and taking on these what look like bosses.
Yeah,
And that's what appeals to me, is getting in there. It looks like a more advanced version, much like the other two developers I've talked about, where they've really built on each game, and this looks like a proper build on Windlands, and I'm excited for it. Are you excited for it, Dan?
Yeah, I am too. I'm not sure if it's one of those games that I'll be excited for, but maybe I end up not picking up for whatever reason. But I like the idea of this. It looks really good. It looks quite polished, and it's in. I don't know if it's an early access at all, but it's just more of like a wish list for now. It's just very charming art style and such, and I like that it's a new IP as well, rather than just going, doing more of the same and such. So very interested in this one. Not on top of the list, but definitely interested in this one. Next game is a game that's out right now. It's called Deep Cuts.
Shadow Drop
for sure. Deep Cuts seems like basically you're in different movie worlds, and it's kind of goofy in terms of the story, where you're in there in different grounds, and there's a bunch of like robots that are like influencing the story and such, and everything seems fine and dandy, but sometimes there's glitches and the robots get a bit out of control, and it goes a bit crazy, and it's physics based, so it can be very creative and silly and fun and such. It looks actually really fun to play. It's just it's like $35 on the USD. Oh, Samson, you okay there? You big sneeze.
A little sneeze.
It's about $35 USD. It's like $41 Canadian. So it's not a game that I think I'll buy right now, but I'm curious to hear the reviews, and I probably will have a look at this during the sale, because it just seems like good fun. What do you think of it?
Well, similar to you, Dan. It looks cool. I know I probably wouldn't finish this game, right? But I do like myself some physics-based combat, and I feel like we're going to be seeing this one, in videos, just people doing random things to
I guess so,
to all these enemies and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all those different movie scenes. It's such a cool idea.
Yeah,
I should get it, but that's a steep price. I'm not going to lie.
It's a steep price,
I think I would get out of it.
Yeah,
personally.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, but this is definitely, it will go on sale at some point, but it's out now, so
the graphics are pretty good too.
Yeah, they look pretty decent. I think this was captured on Quest as well. So this was the second one that was actually captured on Quest 3, so you can actually see what the graphics are like. But yeah, it kind of Bone Lab-esque in terms of those graphics. But yeah, it looks really good. Actually, we're just curious on reviews, but hey, who's to say? We might get it. Then there was a announcement that the VR gaming showcase will return in August 2025, and Jamie said it was going to be the biggest one yet, and I believe that because it's in the it's at the end of the year as well, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So then we kind of ended the VR game showcase in a way and started the Flat 2 VR game showcase because Flat 2 VR games, they are friends of the show. They definitely help the podcast out in terms of providing us with some information and keys and such. So shout out to them. Trombone Champ is one of them for sure. They basically showed off a bunch of their games on this show. So the first one was Shadowgate, which has no release date, and I'm not gonna lie, Samson, I don't really know. It's kind of like a dungeon crawler in a way. It seems like with some puzzles and whatnot.
Yeah, I've also never really played this one, but I do think it came to other platforms previous to this, right?
Yeah, I think this is a PSVR 2 announcement, and then after that we saw RoboQuest VR, which actually looked really freaking good. So it had great graphics. There's like very cartoony, cel shaded graphics again. The guns, the guns in this game, there's like so many different types of weapons. There's like your standard guns, your shotguns. You've got like a plasma gun. You've got boomerangs. You can do melee with like a sword or a samurai sword or whatever's in there and such, and you can do dual wielding and such, and it just looks like fun, expressive ways to kind of kill your enemies. I couldn't tell you what kind of game that is. I just need to read into it more, if it's like a story game or just a bit of
I think it's a roguelike.
Is it a roguelike? Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, didn't know that, to be honest. But yeah, it just looks really good. RoboQuest VR. Have you ever played this, like the flat screen version?
It is on flat screen, and it does have a, I believe, UEVR mod for it, but I have not gotten into it.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a fast-paced first-person shooter roguelike. Mechanics playable in single player or 2 players co-op.
I do like that too. It's a good option.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it looks really good. Any further thoughts on this one?
I'm also excited for this one.
Yeah.
Hopefully, with any luck, Flat to VR will hook a brother up.
Well, then a friend of the show, Jasmine, came on screen just to talk about obviously the company and the games that are coming up. We had her on an episode way back. I think, I don't know, something like episode 70 something as well. But yeah, she was on there, and then after that we had a few extra games. She said Wrath. I couldn't make out which game she said, but I think it was called Wrath Rendezvous was coming out this fall. But
no, it's the Wrath Raytheon or something.
Wrath Raytheon. Okay,
I forget the name. I also forget the name, but it's Wraith or something like that.
She said that's coming out this fall, and then went into Out of Sight VR, which is like it's a game. One. It's a game that's coming out on flat screen as well, but it's not out on at the moment. But they're helping with the port to VR itself. This game, it's a horror game. It looks freaking awesome. It looks actually really, really good.
Proper horror. I'm good.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It gives me kind of Hello Neighbor vibes in a way, but it seems like you are a teddy bear who is helping this little girl kind of get through this house where you have this one guy trying to chase you, and
the tension of you you're like outside of, right? So things can happen to this girl. It looks like that you can kind of make or accidentally happen, and then you just watch these probably horrible things happen to her where you can't do anything to intervene at that point.
No, you're just a teddy bear.
I'm good.
And it's obviously going to have some horror for you as well, for sure. But it's I'm I don't know if this is one that I'll play because I may get too scared, but holy moly, it looks fantastic. It looks like a great horror game for sure. It looks like proper scary, proper psychological horror, but it will have some jump scares as well. Obviously, the version we're looking at looks like the Steam VR version, but it will come out on MetaQuest and it will come out on flat screen. It's a game that I feel like maybe I'd play in flat screen because I'll be able to deal with the horror, but in VR, it'd just be too hard, you know.
You need both.
Yeah, maybe we'll need both. Then there was a little tease with Surviving Mars Pioneers, which seems just very tiny tease. It seems like, actually, it seems like a very tactical game, like a strategic game. Have you heard of this game? I've never heard of this game. No,
yeah, me neither.
It seems like a tactical simulation in a way where you're on Mars and you have to kind of survive on there, but it doesn't seem like there'll be enemies or anything like that. But yeah, so you're like placing items down, you're crafting items, and you're trying to
establish a new civilization.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Think The Martian. Let's put this like that in VR is what I want to see. But it wasn't a big trailer. It was hard to kind of tell. Then you got a really fun trailer for Postal 2, which is coming out on VR. Samson, have you heard of Postal 2? I've actually not heard of this game, and I don't know if this
You'd never heard of this game? I mean, I'd heard of this game. It was, an internet sensation back in the day, but I've never played the game.
I've actually never heard of this game, but the trailer was hilarious. They made this whole trailer, which was obviously built into the game. And they also had Eric as well, who's obviously Flat to VR in there, and I think they had the two creators who created the game as well in that trailer as well. So it was just a really funny and fantastically built trailer. So hats off to them.
Same voice actor, I think.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, I loved every minute of that trailer. I had no idea what this game is. I could kind of get the idea of this is just like a hell breaks loose.
Dan, you could do some heinous things.
Well, I can see you can strap a cat onto the gun.
Dan, you used to be able to urinate on people.
You can really. It's one of those games, hey? Like they were like a full-on 90s kind of game.
Yeah.
That you could do. Wow. I wonder what they're gonna. Yeah, the trailer's hilarious. Okay, I'm just watching it as we're talking. Apologies to the audio listeners here.
Well, is there a rated M game on the Meta Store?
Resident Evil probably is. Resident Evil 4.
Yes. You're right.
If anything, but
wait, could this be the next level?
The next level potentially.
What is next level?
Rated? I don't know. In the UK, we just have 18, and then that's the highest, which I think is the same.
It's adults only, I think, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, fair, probably. Yeah,
I don't know. Probably. I could be wrong. Anyway,
great trailer.
It looks really ridiculous, fun. And I'm sure there's a big crowd for Postal 2, especially in the older VR crowd.
I think so too.
Remember the original.
I think so too. Any idea, Samson, when this game came out, like originally, or could you find out?
When the original came out?
Yeah. Yeah, when the original version of Postal 2 came out.
It came out April 14th, 2003.
2003, yeah. I just completely either missed it or was just not in that circle.
But the first one, which was also weird and like sort of a cult hit, I think, that came out in 1997.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Was that one? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, well, it got 10 out of 10 on Steam, and I feel like maybe,
maybe it was a different one.
Came out, it's like 10 USD on Steam. So
Postal 2?
Yeah. That will probably work on the Steam Deck, no problem. No problem. All right, that'll do for part 2. That was the wrap up of the VR Gaming Showcase. Like I said, pretty solid showcase. A lot of games. Actually, before we wrap it up, Samson, I know we've kind of mentioned it, but just to wrap this little section up here, what are like the maybe the three games that you're really looking forward to?
3 games, my top 3.
Yeah, in no particular
Dan, I think
order.
it feels pretty obvious. Anybody who's listening to this podcast,
for sure.
Forefront, by far number 1. I'll leave off the Breachers update because that's not new.
Yes, this doesn't count. Yeah.
Stay Forever Home. That's probably number 2. Ooh, tough with 3, Dan. Tough with 3. I'm going to have...
Ooh.
It's between Titan Isles and RoboQuest, I think. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Titan Isles.
Yeah, I'm going to say Forefront for sure. I'm very curious with Ghost Town. And I was going to say Penguin Festival. Titan Isles for sure. I think Titan Isles, Forefront, and probably Ghost Town, but maybe RoboQuest is on the edge of that as well. So just to sneak in a 4th. But yeah, very good showcase. Just a good time. A lot of good games that are in there, and I'm looking forward to playing some of them later this year. All right, that'll do for our mega part 2 here. Part 3, we'll just go on over what we've been playing and the games out this week, and we'll wrap this baby up. So we'll see you then. Let's Talk Oculus is available on all good podcast platforms and some rubbish ones as well. If you want to see the video version, it's available on YouTube and Spotify. And also, if you love us so much, then consider throwing us $1 at patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. Back to the show. All right, welcome back to part 3, what we've been playing in games out this week. Samson, as already mentioned, I have not played much. I've only played Walkabout and Split Fiction. So what games have you been playing?
Well, Dan, as previously mentioned, it is finally warm enough to play outside. So I got in some Synth Riders. Thank you, Synth Riders, for their latest DLC codes. And Dan, it's a good time. There's some Jack Harlow on there. The Jack Harlow one, I think, is my favorite one.
Yeah. Nice. I've not
been
played...
playing in mixed reality, outdoors, winds blowing, 65 degrees today. Oh, it was peak VR. And Dan, you know what I did yesterday? Also outdoors. Also, it was like 55. It was a little chillier. But I got into Demio battles. You know what I did? I blew that sucker up. It was huge. It was like this. It wasn't the size of the house, but it was very big.
You made it massive, yeah.
And I just walked around. I didn't have to move the board at all.
Yeah,
I just walked around the board. It was pretty cool. And then selecting my players, I had to kind of get on my tiptoes because it was up a little high, but I didn't want to move everything. It's because I'm a little short.
You're not that short. I've seen you in real life. You're not that short. I'm obviously tall.
Yeah, I guess I'm average.
6'3". You're still what are you?
5'9".
Are you 5'9", 5'10"?
A little bit.
Yeah, I think you're average. Yeah.
Anyway, it's definitely peak way to play Demio. And I want to do it now with a multiplayer person where we're both seeing the same board. That would take it to the next level.
Very good.
But yeah, love my outdoor VR. Got in some 11 table tennis with D-Max.
Did you beat him?
Yeah, I did. He had a little rust. But I do think he sort of dusted off his shoulders and he was getting the hang of it. I think next time will be much more competitive. That
does remind me I really need to try the pickleball update and such in Racket Club. Yeah, I really need to try those updates. I mean, 11 table tennis also has a pickleball game. But yeah, the Racket Club, I really need to try that. But anyway, continue.
I will. 11 table tennis. It's a great game. Great game. If you want to play table tennis, why not try 11 table tennis?
Yeah.
And Dan got into Breachers with the Behaptics vest and arms. Fantastic experience as always. We're doing a lot more control point. Very much enjoying it. Walkstar joined and she is very, very good, and she brought a lot of friends this time, so it was very high level of play last Friday. Very high level of play, but great time. This week finally got back into Trombone Champ a bit.
Nice.
And they've been updated. There's a lot more yeah, but I just play like a little bit of an easier song and then
you're back in. Yeah, fair.
But they've had some good updates, added more songs, and I got into a bunch of them.
Nice. Very good.
A lot more trombones, too. And I have so many of the things that you get. Toots.
Yeah. So many toots.
I have more toots than a baby who just ate broccoli. Okay? I assume that... I don't know. I understand what you're saying. I assume there's a lot of toots. I don't know.
Probably.
Anyway, love me some Trombone Champ. If you're into that, I recommend it.
Great game.
A lot of Walkabout, as previously mentioned. Got in with my buddy from back home. Haven't gotten into a game with him in quite some time. He was definitely a little rusty.
Yeah.
But it was good. Got into Olympus and Elvis. I played both of those with him.
Nice.
Dan, Quake Night. It went well. We had 4 people. Shout out to DTN, TP, and Hack. It was a great time. Played for a little over an hour. And it's so fast. It's so fun. Great time. Next Quake Night, we had a plan. March 26th. It's a Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Come on down. Join us for Quake Night. I'm hoping we get at least 8. I'm hoping for an 8 player lobby. And that just about wraps it up. I tried to go through it quick because I know we had a big pod here.
Hey, that's fine. That's pretty solid. Samson, I know you just talked a lot, but let's be honest, we've only got one game out this week, and you're the best at saying this. So I'm gonna let you continue.
I got it.
Yeah, take a little sip of water and deliver.
Yeah, just a little LaCroix. We'll still take sponsorship if you're out there.
Go ahead and deliver your Path of Fury.
Games out this week. Path of Fury, Episode 1. Tetsuyo, Jiminy Cricket's Tower. You jinxed me.
Yeah, I did.
And I think I just had a conniption. Trek to Yomi creator brings you Path of Fury, thrusted into a relentless gauntlet armed with nothing but your fists and raw willpower. Tetsuyo's fortress rises above you, each floor crawling with enemies that are ready to end you. Your only option, punch your way through every last one of them. Precision and speed are everything. Each enemy has a weakness. You'll have to find it and strike before they swarm. As the floors stack higher, so do the odds. The action doesn't let up, and neither can you. This is pure high-stakes combat where every punch counts, and hesitation could be fatal. Path of Fury doesn't just test your skill, it tests your endurance. How far can you go?
Just excellent readouts.
And I warmed up into it.
This is Kung Fu in VR, and I don't think there's many of those kind of games, which is really cool.
Thanks.
And also, Samson, it does say it's episode 1. It might be quite short. I don't know. It's only $10 USD.
There you have it.
That's all it is.
Pretty good deal.
Yeah, really, really cheap game. Trailer looks pretty fun, but yeah, you are actually doing like Kung Fu. What encourages you to do actual Kung Fu moves as well. So you're like trying to block and such like that. So yeah, looks actually really good, and I'm actually quite curious to pick this one up, to be honest with you.
There you go.
Yeah.
And maybe if you pick it up, you can correct my pronunciation.
Yeah, maybe. You know how I am when it comes to readouts, so I'm not sure about that, to be honest. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, Samson, that will do for our show, to be honest. That's a wrap. Let us know in the comments and such if there's any specific games that excited you from the VR game showcase. I'm always curious to hear more. I'm sure by this time this podcast does come out, obviously, a few days after this VR gaming showcase, there's probably more information out for a few of these games. So if we butchered a few,
outdated.
Yeah, it's already outdated.
Sorry for listening.
exactly. But yeah, that'll do for part 1. That'll do for our podcast in general. As always, I've been Dan. He's been Samson, and that's LTO 177. We'll see you next week.